Gorgeous beings. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the morning show. I'm your host, Marli Ansel, at Marli Ansel on the Instagrams, and this is the morning show where you come to get your daily dose of inspiration and level up into your highest being. It is all about real life, but we make it magical, and there is so much to talk about. So let's dive in. So today we're going to talk about how all things can be changed. We're going to talk about why this is true. I'm going to give you the esoteric and the practical mind shifting techniques for how this works. And once you really start tapping into it, life starts getting pretty fun. It starts to get really, really kind of magical because you see that you can change, move around, rearrange everything. So we're going to dive in. Before we do, Lord in heaven above, let's talk about these cosmos, because you're probably going to have to give me a little bit of grace today because I'm feeling it. I don't know about you guys, but this energy changeover has been significant. So I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts yesterday. It's an astrologer on YouTube. Her name's Molly McCord. Highly, highly recommend if you're into wanting to know all the cosmos things. She's much more experienced than I am. So I was listening to her, and I kept having this feeling the last few days. It's a very distinct feeling. Like an energy tired is a more distinct feeling than like you didn't get enough sleep and I'm doing a lot tired. It's a totally different feeling. And so the last few days I've had an energy tired feeling. What it feels like for me is like it feels like there's a lot of pressure, and it feels like I have to take really deep breaths. And I'm just like, whoo, like over and over and over again. And as I was listening to this podcast, the words that were coming to me was because I was listening, like, tell me what is going on. I understand the changeover, but there's always more than what we actually know is going on. And one of the things that kept coming through for me was it feels like something's being burned away. Like where you burn away what no longer serves you. You burn away old belief systems, old stuck energy. It felt like a burning away. And as we know, moving from Pisces season to Aries season is the transition into fire. And that's just what I kept feeling. And then on this podcast, she goes, you could be feeling like you're burning away parts of your past. And I was like, stop it. Stop it. Yes. Yes, ma'am. So I share because if you've been feeling a lot, it is likely that you are in a huge transition with this season changeover as well. And it's going to affect everybody differently. We're all individuals on our own soul's journey path. But I have felt it a lot. It is a positive thing. Whenever you are up leveling into a new season of life, and there's things of your past that are what feels like quite literally burning away, it's going to feel like a lot. You might feel that overwhelmed feeling. You might feel that like pressury feeling, as we've talked about before. When you have a higher vibrational energy frequency coming in, it is going to overload the system. It's going to push out what can no longer stay. And that can feel like overwhelm. That can feel like a lot. So we take a lot of deep breaths, maybe a nap. I have not been able to take a nap so Robert is chaperoning Willa's camping trip for school. So it's just me and Viola. I'm single parenting half the week this week. And so I have not been able to take a nap. I have in fact been feeling a lot and also doing a lot. So goes life. But it's the word I'm looking for here. You will acclimate. Anytime you feel overwhelmed, you will acclimate as you move through it. But our job is to not try to get rid of it. Just don't try to get rid of it. Allow it to create change on you, because this is change you're ready for. This is change you've asked for. This is preparing you for where you're going. So huge energy changes. And, to be quite honest, I'm aware of the things that it's burning away as much as I'm aware of. And this is going to tie into what we're talking about today. And I'm grateful for it. In total honesty, I'm great. Burn it away, burn it down. Bye bye. So today we're talking about how all things can be changed. All things can be changed. And I know we talk a lot about change in the personal development world because a lot of the reason that you would find personal development is because there's some part of your life that is not satisfactory. It's not feeding you, it's not giving you that sense of joy and excitement and adventure. So when we talk about we can change things, it is always a better word is really it can always get better. Everything, it can be your life can be really, really good and it can get better. And in fact, it's the point because we come here in the earth realm, in our human bodies, to experience, to try new things, to see what's possible, to have the journey, to experience it all. And what you'll find is when you are moving through your path of life and you have these certain visions and these things that you want for your life, and you're going after it, and you're going after it, and you're going after it. And it feels like it's not happening. It feels like it's not happening. You're like, what's wrong with me? Blah, 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 all of this stuff. And then you get there. We all know this feeling. There have been things that you are actively living right now that you once never even dreamed was possible, that you once prayed for, but didn't even have the full prayer because you didn't know what could be. You're actively living things like that right now. And I want you to think about this. As you achieved it, as you embodied it, and you became it, and you are now actively living it, think back on that journey. Because now you have it, and where are you at? You're looking to the next thing. Think back on the journey was the best part. I think about to be here where I am now, and every little circumstance and event and synchronicity and magic and miracle that had to line up in my experience of life for me to be here right now. That was the best part. Like my life is good right now, but my God, the journey to getting here. So, what I'm getting at is that you can want things to be better while things are good. You see what I'm saying? You can want things to change because what's current is not working for you anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because something that used to work for you may not work for you anymore because you change, you evolve, you want different things. So the first step that we have to really talk about is be okay with that. You know what I mean? Be okay with that. Be okay with that this season of life and who you are now and where you're going right now may not look like what past version of you wanted. It's okay. Things get to change. Things get to get better. So, all things can change, and here's why. Because everything starts with your perspective. Everything is first created in the mind. And we hear this, stay with me. Don't tap out just because you've heard this cliche thing before, because we're going to break it down. All things begin in the mind. Everything. Everything in your experience is filtered through your mind. So here's what I want you to think about and picture. Every item in your house, down to the simplest thing as a cup, was an idea in someone's mind first. Before it ever became a physical manifested thing, it was an idea in someone's mind first. Okay, that's tangible. Someone who is living van life, like sold everything they own. We're going to buy a van. We're going to travel the country. We're going to live out of the van. This is what we're going to do. That idea of life was first born in the mind. An idea. Everything begins as an idea. Everything. Everything. Everything begins as an idea. And then it is made manifest through our actions. So here's what I want you to see. Everything you're living right now is an idea. It's an idea that you've bought into, that you believe in, and that you are actively taking action on. Just pause for a second and think about it. Everything. Everything in your life is an idea. If you have a corporate job that you go to every day, it is because there was an idea that you are meant to work in a corporate job, and that's the way life is. It's an idea. It was never ultimately true. It's just an idea. It's an experience you chose. And through your actions, you created that experience into reality. Okay. All right. You with me? So if everything is truly just an idea, then couldn't an idea be morphed, changed, rearranged, put into a different idea? Couldn't something else be born from the place of the mind? It's an idea. So all things can shift and rearrange because you have the capability to see things differently. You have the capability to think differently. You have the capability to believe differently. You have the capability to see a different perspective at any moment that you choose. All things are just an idea. And you can see how this is true and practical for yourself, but you can also see how it's true in terms of not everyone in the world lives the exact same life. Why? You feel me on this? Why? Two people who come from literally the exact same background could have two totally different lives. They could have everything in the similarities, like everything in the way they grew up and the type of family they grew up in, the environment, the money. They could have all these similar things and they could grow up and have two entirely different lives. Why? Because everything is born of an idea. One person could be like, I'm getting out of this town. I'm going to be a rich multimillionaire. I'm going to create a business. I'm doing it. I don't care what it takes. The other person could be like, well, I think I want to be a teacher. I feel really called to teaching. I think it's going to be really important for me to contribute to my town and educate the children here. Different ideas, a paradigm shift, 100%. Different ideas. And do you know, I looked up the definition of a paradigm. I like to look up the etymology of words and the actual definition because I think there's a lot of insight in there. A paradigm is just a common way of thinking. That's all a paradigm is. We think about paradigm as like the world we're existing in, and in truth, it is, but it is just a common way of thinking. That's literal, the literal definition. I mean, don't take me word for word, but you feel me on that. It's a way of thinking. So I can change my paradigm by changing the way that I think. Okay. So now let's make it real practical and think about your own life. This has really been shown up for me in a really, really big way, which is why I want to share it with you today. When you have a distortion, and by a distortion, I mean you have a way of thinking that is not true. It's not ultimately true, but it is also disempowering. It's detrimental to you. A way of thinking that is not ultimately true, but that is working against you. We all have it. We all have it. But when you have a distortion like that, you are viewing life through a non-truth. It's just a belief. It is just a perspective, but you are viewing everything through that lens. It's like if you put on like the beer goggles, you can't see reality clearly. So this could be something that you grew up in. You could have grown up in a paradigm where your family very much demonized people with money. Your family could say, those people, they're evil. Rich people are awful. Like, could have created a distortion that's not ultimately true, because we could break it down and we could say, so every human who has more money than your average person is evil. You start breaking it down and you're like, I mean, it doesn't seem ultimately true. Okay. So not only is it not ultimately true, it is also disempowering you. Because if you're growing up with a distortion that says if you have money, it means you're evil, are you ever going to allow yourself to have money? Probably not, right? And then so you set your life up for struggle, for not being able to provide in the way that you want to, for not being able to do the things that you want to do in life. And so now we have a distortion that says, I need money to live, but money is evil. So everything that you do and you operate is going to be through this like fuzzy lens. You see what I'm saying? So the work is not because you would be working against yourself. It's like, okay, now I got to go get two jobs to try and make just enough money, which by the way, I did for like the first five 5 years of my adult working life. I was working my corporate job and then I also had a second job because wasn't making enough money. So you're like, I'm trying to hustle up, money's so hard to come by, all of this stuff. It's creating a struggle in your world because of a distorted belief system. And there's nothing you can do about it, meaning physically, nothing you can do about it. Because so long as you have the distortion, you're not going to allow yourself to stack up money. And you're also going to have to work harder just to make enough money. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. So, where does the change need to happen? You got to make the shift in the mind to a different idea. So, as I shift the idea and I ask myself, okay, in our example, is it ultimately true though that all people with money are evil? Like, is it if I'm a good person and I have a good heart and someone gifted me $1 million, would that instantly make me evil? You're like, oh, this is falling apart really quickly, isn't it? Right? So you start to shift the idea and you're like, okay, well, what if the opposite was true? What if people, all people, we're just going to take it to the extreme opposite. All people with money were really good people. What if that were true? Well, that sounds just as silly as all people with money are evil. Oh, okay. So we have two extremes of the distortion here. Neither one are true. Where do we find the truth? Just right there in the middle. People are people, and money ain't got nothing to do with it. Okay, so then you go, belief is completely eradicated at this point. I see there are evil people, there are good people, and money's got nothing to do with it. So now you go, what do I want to believe about having money for me? What do I want my truth to be? What do I want my paradigm to be? And you start to build your own set of rules, your own idea for what you want to experience in this life. And as you birth an idea, you will naturally start taking action to manifest that idea into your reality. As you change it in the mind, you cannot help but it start to change in your reality. It's a natural effect. And this to me is the greatest thing of all time because you can change your entire existence experience of life just by changing an idea. It's all you. It all comes back to you. Anything that you're living in your life that feels as though it's hard, it's struggly, you don't like it, you're tolerating it, all of these things, it's an idea. It's just an idea. And as you become clear on the idea that you've been living, you can start to change that idea. You can start to morph that idea. There are so many things, and they're sneaky. It's sneaky because the way that we start building our world and building what we believe to be true is so, what's that word? Elusive. Maybe that's the right word. That it gets built without you even realizing it until you start questioning it. So anything in your world, your life, where you go, it is like this. No, but it is that way. Start questioning it if you want to change it. By all means, if you want to fight for the limitation, keep it. I'm not here to change you like that. If you want to do that, go for it. But if you don't like it and you do want to change it, start questioning it. So yesterday, I had a client call and she is currently looking for a new job. She wants to get a new job. And she comes to the call and she says, all of these companies are and then she went on to say, all Fortune 500 companies are like this. And so I challenged her. And I said, do you know all of those companies? You know every company on the Fortune 500 list? She's like, well, no. And I was like, okay. And so is it possible that some of those companies are not that way? She's like, well, I just have never seen it. I was like, okay, valid. You've never seen it. Does it mean though, just because you've never seen it, that it doesn't exist? That there isn't a company that would have these values, that would prioritize their people? Just is it possible? Is it possible that there's a company that is a really beautiful company, solid, stable, profitable, successful, and they actually do value their people that work for them, value the opinions of the leadership that's there? Is it possible? And so, what I was just trying to do is like loosen up the grip of all things are this way. Because what will happen if you understand that the way that creation is, the universe is mental, everything is showing us what we believe to be true. So long as there is a solid belief system that says all of this is this way, you will be shown you are correct over and over and over again. Great. Do you want that to be your truth? That's the question. Because the way that it works is that you will always be shown what your idea is. You will always be shown what you believe to be true. So you got to start asking yourself, is this something I actually want to experience? And if it's not, we got to start changing it. Loosen up the ideas so that they can move around and rearrange. As you do, you're going to start to see different things. This is that magic and miracles that happens. Magical opportunities, miraculous encounters with people. All of a sudden, a job appears out of nowhere. A friend of a friend has this company and they're looking for a position that's exactly the right match for you. These are how those things happen. But the idea has to first shift in your mind. You've got to become available for it. If you're not available for it, you will never see it. Let's see, Nicole said, because if you really didn't believe, then you would not be able to take action. 100%. Bang on. 100%. Your actions cannot, will not ever be what's the word I'm looking for? Misaligned with what you believe. Your actions have to follow what you believe. There's no way that you can act outside of what you believe. You just literally can't. Like challenge me on it. You literally can't. You can go, I don't believe that, oh my gosh, I can't even think of a good example. If I throw this ball up in the air, I don't believe it'll come back down. Yeah, you do. like, yeah, you do. You know what I mean? What's a different one? Okay. If I Oh, see, I can't even do it. I can't even do it. Challenge yourself. Try to come up with it if you want. But you cannot act outside of what you believe. Even when you are like, I'm trying to do something. Okay, here we go. This is a good one. I'm trying to, I think in terms of my business a lot. Okay, so I'm trying to build my business. What do you believe in that? Try is a great word to bring this up. I'm trying to build my business. The undercurrent belief in that is that I'm doing things, but I don't really know if it's going to work. I'm trying to build my business. So everything you do is literally going to be in the exact alignment with doing things, but that it's not going to actually work. Do you see what I'm saying? Everything matches you verbatim, like precisely. Everything matches you precisely. Okay, so now let's flip it. Instead of I'm trying to build my business, which is bleh, bleh, get it out of here. We don't like gray areas. We don't like wishy-washy. Instead, you could say, especially if you don't know what you're doing, I'm currently learning the steps to build my business. Now, is the action clear? Do you know exactly what you're doing? 100%. I'm currently learning the steps that are going to build my business. I'm currently taking the steps that are going to build my business. I'm taking the steps and I see my business is building. You see the difference when you shift what it is that your idea of what you're doing, your idea of what's possible, the actions you take become crystal clear. Crystal clear. It's always going to go in alignment with what it is that you believe 100% of the time. 100% of the time. So I get so hype about it, as you can see, because then your job is just you. Isn't that amazing? Your job is just you. You don't have to worry about anybody else. You don't have to convince people of what you're doing. You don't have to worry if Susie, your best friend, your neighbor, your husband is also buying into your idea of things because it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is your conviction behind your belief system, and your actions will bring to life the idea that you are believing in every single time. So all things can be changed. I think the hardest part in this is not that action of changing it. The hardest part is identifying the things that you are just accepting as the way it is and you don't like it. I think that's the hardest part, because we can just be operating and not realize that we're tolerating something that's not exactly what we want. And we think, I just got to do more and then it'll be different. Not realizing that the doing is actually solidifying the idea we have about the thing. So we've got to change the idea so that then the actions we take create a different reality. Boom, shakalaka. Ooh, I feel like I did a good job conveying that. Thank you. Thank you. That is an awesome reframe. Good. So play with this. Just play with it. Like anything. Just make it fun. You know what I mean? We take all this life thing too seriously, but just make it fun. If there's something in your life that gives you that like, ugh, I don't like it, I don't want to, just ask yourself, what am I believing about this? Could I see it differently? Could I rearrange it? Could I opt for different a different perspective on it that would then manifest a different reality? Just play with it. There's somebody that I don't know why this is popping into my head because I don't have this, but maybe it applies for somebody who's watching. If there is someone at your kid's school, like another kid's mom or someone of that nature that you don't get along with and that you don't really love, just don't really love them. You know what I mean? And you dread every interaction. You're like, oh my God, I don't want to deal with her or whatever it is. Okay. In that, instead of continuing the same energy, which is no bueno, right? It's not fun for anybody. Instead of that, go, okay, what am I believing to be true about this person? And can I see that that belief is an idea? It's just an idea and it's just my idea, because someone else could know this person and think something entirely different about them. Okay, so if it's just an idea, how could I rearrange my perspective of my idea about this person? Play with it, change it around, see if you can come up with something else that is more fun. It almost makes you laugh. And then go watch how the energy changes in your dynamic with that person. Just play with it. Okay? Play with it. Okay, so tomorrow we're doing Friday Q&A. If you would like to send a question into the show and have me answer and deep dive into a particular subject or topic that you want to talk about, you can email me at assistant@marliansel.com. Or if we're already friends on the socials, go ahead and just send me a message with your question. I read all questions anonymously, so feel free to just bare your soul. So we're doing that tomorrow, Friday Q&A. And then we're here next week, but then the week of March 30th, I'm going on vacation. So there will be no morning show for the week of March 30th. I know we have not taken a break since the beginning of the year, but I think this is going to be really good. And we're going to have a lot of really cool new things come anyway. So the break will be good for me to catch up on some stuff that I have in the works for you guys. If the show has resonated with you, please share. Share the show. It helps us to grow our impact and get the message out to more people. Thank you all for being here live. If you're not subscribed on YouTube, come over to YouTube and subscribe. If you're not on Instagram, come to Instagram. Let's hang out. Let's be friends. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Mwah, mwah, mwah. We're here Monday through Friday, every day, 10 a.m. for the morning show where we talk about all things energy, up leveling, parenting, relationships, business, money, all the stuff. I love you guys. You're so welcome. Thank you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Goodbye, my loves. Goodbye.